The events in our community draw visitors and residents together, from the new dog park to the history of Bismore Park and out to the community garden in Marston's Mills. Channel 18 was there to document and tell the stories of our town. Enjoy our best of 2018 community.
Oh, I think this is wonderful. This is the third Unity Day, and what makes it so special is that the young men who came together to organize the Unity Day and how it initiated it. It came about because of all the turmoil that was going around the country with police officers and men of color that were clashing, and these young men got together with the law enforcement here in Barnstable and decided that they wanted to bring the groups together and show some unity, and that's what this day is about. And it just brought the whole community together to say, you know, we appreciate our law enforcement people, and we should be working with them, and law enforcement needs to know us and know them, and change that image of young males of color, that they are productive, and they are here in the community, and they do care. It's a very caring community. It's a beautiful community, and a beautiful day that the Lord has given us out here today. So I'm proud of the group of young men that are putting this together, and I'm very proud of my community, and that today I'm able to be a part of it.
Stay, Jesse.
You know, this is turning into one of my favorite days of the year. Just having everybody from the community come out and be a part of something positive, it's awesome. Well, I hope that more people just want to get involved with their community, whether it's volunteering, coaching, coaching a team, or just all around being a positive person and really showing pride in where you're from. And, you know, when we do things like that, I mean, great things can happen.
Oh, community is everything. I can't run my school without community. Our students that we have come from all over Hyannis, and I've seen many of them today with their families. They run up to me like I just saw them yesterday, and it's amazing. I have people I went to high school with. I graduated from Barnstable High School, so I have people I graduated with, people I know from the community, people I know from Hyannis West. It's just a wonderful way to get everyone together. They can have law enforcement be a safe place and safe people to go to, and that's what we need to promote, is that they're here to help and support. And we try to have law enforcement come into our building as much as we can so that they can see the positive side of that, because they hear things out in the community, but we want to tell them the positive side of it, and that they're here to help, and that they should be able to go to them and feel
Great
supported.
job out here. It gets bigger every year. The Barboses and the Men of Action have done a fantastic job down here. They really have. It's getting the community involved in everything we do, and getting us involved in things they do, because in the end, I tell people all the time, we don't know if there's a problem out there unless you talk to us, but sometimes talking to us isn't like the easiest thing for some people to do. So breaking down a little bit of those barriers and having people be a little more approachable, and to say that, yeah, I really can talk to these people and get my point across, or so when they get into that position where they have to call us, they're not so hesitant to call. We're there.
The sense of the similarities that we all have while respecting each other's differences, I think really contribute to the vibrancy that exists in Barnstable, and we see that every day at the Senior Centre. Just being down here on the Village Green is an amazing experience, despite the heat. Just getting to interact with people of all ages, and see the connections, and just a sense of camaraderie and excitement and energy is something that we try and replicate all the time at the Senior Centre, right, Judith?
That's right. And I think this really shows that the Senior Center isn't just an isolated entity. We're very much a part of the community and very intergenerational.
Exactly what you said. It's community. We're all together. We're having fun. People are finding commonalities in everyday life. You know, this reminds me of the Cape Cod that I grew up on. You know, that where we have everybody coming together. People aren't afraid of one another, and they are finding a way to break bread, have a meal together, play games together, sometimes dunking a police officer together, and it's just a wonderful opportunity. It does take a lot of planning. Fortunately, there are a lot of arms that take different parts of it. The Barnstable Police Department, the People of Action, you know, there were certain elements that they wanted to make sure were included. Being the town, we wanted to make sure that special parts of our town were highlighted, so we're thrilled that we have the Gateway Greeters here with Park Happy. We have the taxidermy trailer from Marine Environmental Affairs. Senior Services, they're painting kindness rocks. We have folks from all over with recreation helping playing games, and it's just a really fun, old-fashioned kind of time. But I think that people are understanding that our police officers, it's been a very different world of late, and to see everybody just having a great time, I think is really special. It's the community.
We were here in April when you told us about story time and pumpkin picking here at the community garden in Barnstable. What a lovely, lovely day. Tell us a little bit about this event and why it happens.
Thank you for coming. This is all sponsored by the Marston's Mills Public Library. We had a plot this year. The library sponsored it. My granddaughter Mia planted pumpkins, and today the children got their pumpkins. We meet in the garden a couple of times a year in the summer for story hour and in the fall. It's a wonderful place for children to be. It's a wonderful place for adults to be. And just to get people outside, it's a fun thing to do. So I think they all had a good time today.
How did this partnership come along where you've thought about story time here out in nature?
I'm a reader, and I'm a gardener. So put the two together, and with my granddaughter, we go to story hour every week, so it just makes sense.
Talk a little bit about the community garden, what happens at the end of the season.
At the end of the season, gardeners are responsible for cleaning up their plots. We have a compost pile here, and everything goes into the compost pile that is that you can compost. Everything else, gardeners are asked to take home with them and put their gardens to bed for the winter. We have started to do that in our plot, and next week we'll come and do some weeding, and we'll be done. So everybody's responsible for their own plot, and then we'll come back in the spring.
Excellent. Thanks. So much fun.
Yay! I know. It really was fun. It really was.
Story hour in the community garden. tell us, Miss Audrey, what does this mean to parents and kids to get them out and reading in this atmosphere?
Well, I love the fact that they are here listening to stories. They're not plugged into the TV. They're not watching a video game. They're out here. They're listening to stories. They're out in nature. They're seeing the crickets. They're hearing the wind blow. It's all of the senses all together, and it's free, and it's in our own village, and it's a field trip. It's a story hour field trip. It's so much fun. I love being able to do this.
So there was a little bit of a theme to the books I noticed for storytelling. Tell us how that came about.
Well, once I knew that they were going to be giving away pumpkins, and there was some talk of some sunflowers, I thought I would pick some fall books and some pumpkin books. That one about with the little seed was adorable, and how the seed grew into a sprout, and then the sprout grew into a plant, and I just thought that would help sort of segue into the giving away of the pumpkins. I thought that would be fun to do.
So it looked like everybody was really engaged with storytelling. Is that normal for a story hour?
It better be. It better be. I want them right there with me. I want them listening, and I want them telling. We're trying to count, and we try to engage them so that it is very much that sort of interactive story hour. They have to do a little listening, they have to do some sitting, but then I want them up, I want them stretching, I want them to laugh, I want them to have fun, and then back at the library they can go back and do a craft, and we always have a snack because they're starving, so we always have to have a snack, and it has just evolved. It's 28 years this year of doing this. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's really been fun. Now these kids are graduating from college, my first little story hour kids, and so it's fun.
One of the things that brought back my childhood was a little song that you did that everybody kind of had to move to. Tell me, was that part of your childhood too?
The head, shoulders, knees, and toes, yeah, and it just stretches, and for me, it stretches me out too, so it's helpful when I've been sitting and reading to them. It helps me to get up and sort of stretch. So it's a win-win for everybody. They like it, we like it. We try to do it in a different voice. We try to do it faster and slower. And
so the community garden, you were here during the summer. Obviously, it was super hot. What's the significance of doing something once or twice somewhere else for story hour? Not just the garden. Are you doing other places?
Yes, we actually did the Mills River Farm one time, and that was lovely too. They got to go and see the different rescue animals that Patty has there, and I think it's just fun to be in our village. It's not like we're taking them out of the village. They're staying in the village. They're doing something that the parents are always excited to come and see. A lot of moms and dads had never seen the community gardens. They didn't know the Mills River Farm was right at the end of our streets. So it seems so nice to be able to get them out and do something different.
They look like they had a wonderful time. They're still running for pumpkins. Thanks so much.
I'm so glad you were here. I'm so glad you got to be here with us. Thank you.
Our citizens have asked that we try to identify areas where they can take their animals. Certainly we have to be cognizant of the fact that our beaches and many of our open areas are not conducive to that year-round. So wanting to give them a place to exercise and socialize, but do it in a safe way, a controlled way, led us to this vision. And as I said earlier, our council and our former town manager saw very clearly that it was needed in the community, so we identified this location, and with the help of the Stanton Foundation and our Public Works Department and our Natural Resources Department, we have been able to build it, and now we're going to run it, and we're going to do it with the help of volunteers, so it's very exciting.
I did not expect this. It's lovely. It's a beautiful day, but a lot of dogs are out here. Some are in costume. It is, of course, Halloween. We really just wanted to get this park open. As you noted, as Lynn noted, people have been here even before the gates were up. So, and we didn't want to turn people away. So we really wanted to have a date that was, a beginning point. We could get that ribbon cut. It was intentional to be done in October as soon as this park was done. And so, to have this many people show up it really, shows how important this park is to this community.
We're going to do a soft opening, another opening on November 10th, and in the springtime we plan on a grand opening with vendors, and it'll be partly fundraiser, partly just fun and celebration.
But it's definitely worth it at the end, given what we have here and how happy the people seem to be bringing their dogs here, and I think it's going to be a very busy place for a long time.
When we first started the project, this was going to be run by citizens, and we were going to use the Falmouth model where citizens had put it together, and they were doing a lot of fundraising. And then when we found out about the Stanton Foundation, and Marsha King and others went up and secured the money and brought it back for the town council approval, then we began the process of who runs it and how do we keep it all together. And that took a while to work out the legal part of it. And they had funding cycles, so we fell a little behind. But once we got it in and we were able to design it the way we wanted, it's much larger than many of the other parks. And I think it's going to be a beautiful place to bring your pet to run off leash. And they say every dog has its day. Well, today's their day, so we're very excited about that.
Oh, I think this park's a great addition to our community. There's so many people that visit the brewery that have dogs, and I know that they come here and walk their dogs at Hathaway's Pond on the trails, but being able to have a place where the dogs can be enclosed and run around and just be dogs is great, and we're really looking forward to being able to meet more friends with dogs.
What do you want to tell the dogs of Barnstable?
If you build it, they will come. It's been busy. It's great to see them here. It really is.
Have fun. You have your place to go. I want to tell the dogs to abide by all the rules and regulations, just like all of us, but have fun. You finally have your place. You can run free. There aren't too many places, and this is why it's so unique. There aren't too many places where dogs can run free.
They should come to the dog park.
Excellent. Thanks, honey. That was great.
Teeth were like some animals' teeth, and so they called him Jerry Muskrat. And then they gradually dropped it to just Jerry. Every time I reached for something on my plate to eat, it was gone. He had taken it. And I'd say, I just had a piece of bread and butter here. Where'd it go? Oh. But then I'd look on his plate. There it was. But he was a good jokester. He wasn't nasty. He was just fun. He always, when he was coming home from work at night, he was always whistling. If it was raining or snowing or what, he'd whistle. He had no hat on. He was whistling along and came in. His hair was dripping wet. He would. All I can say is I was so glad he was my brother. He worked in a drugstore. In fact, he got his diploma to get to. And then about the time he got his diploma for it to be a degree, to get his degree, he had to go. He knew he was going to go into service, so he enlisted. And it wasn't too long after that before he was killed. But as I say, he said to me, the day I saw him the last time we got together, he said, this is the best time of my life. And he said, if I'm going to spend the rest of my life here. And now he had 6 more years. But that's the way it goes. And he had a lot of love for his country, too. And whenever a plane went to the airport, when it was just a dirt road, he'd run up there and see who it was. If it was somebody he knew, famous, he'd be glad to greet them and all that. And if they weren't famous, he'd help try to work and get famous. He was full of aircraft. But it's just so too bad that a plane had to be what took his life. But God has the planes, we don't. And when we got back, and I got the mail, and it was a letter saying that he had died, and I just dissolved into tears. And this girl took me up to her and said, "Jerry, she needs you down here." So he came down, and I was brokenhearted. So of course she couldn't say it to Jerry because he wasn't there, but anyhow, he was there usually when we wanted him. And he was there when his wife needed him too. I do remember that it changed from Ocean Park, but I didn't know exactly how close the connection was. But I was very, very proud when it became Bismore Park. My brother's name is Bismore Park. My brother's name is Bismore, and it's named after my brother, and he was killed in World War II. And I'm very, 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 very proud of him. And not only for being that name, but just because who he was.
Yes, he was on a B-26, like that one, only with just a single tail. And I have heard several different stories of how he died. I don't know which is actually the way he died, but it doesn't make any difference. He died in the plane. And I have been once down to the cemetery in Washington and visited his gravesite, and that was really an emotional experience. But he was really a saint. He was a remarkable, amazing, lovely person, and as opposed to some of the rest of us who were gruff and not so nice. We'd get a letter once in a while, because that's about all the communications we had. The telephones were all busy with war business. And so occasionally we'd get a letter, and we, my mother and my sisters, would send him a package with some cookies and stuff in it. I don't know if they ever got there or not. Or if they did get there, they were probably gulped up by all of his friends, like it was when I was in the Army. I'd get a package and I'd have 2 cookies and the rest of them would just go to everybody else. But no, we didn't have much constant awareness of where he was, which is good, because, but anyway, like when he went over to Europe, I had no idea he was in Europe until we discovered that he was no longer with us. Well, we were a ragtag bunch because we were all very different. Jerry was the life of the party. He was just, well, his smile lit up the room, and he was just funny and fun, and at the same time he was very serious, depending on what he was doing. Then he went roller skating at Mill Hill one time, and the gal in front of him tripped, and he went to jump over, and he kicked her with his skate and broke her jaw. So he went to visit her in the hospital, and darned if they didn't get married. We were patriotic, we loved America, we loved Cape Cod, we loved the people on Cape Cod because they're friendly people. Whenever we'd get away from Cape Cod, we'd run into the brusque, well, like we'd go to Boston and people were not friendly and warm. And so we appreciated where we were. We appreciated the beauty of the place and the willingness to share among people.
So we're going to dedicate this to a good partnership between the Chamber and the town of Barnstable in the future.
Okay.
Love it.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, the reason we're here on the town green is because we want to be accessible to residents and visitors. We think that the tourism industry is so vital in our community that the way you make it as strong as it can be is by giving visitors information so they can become customers, so they can take advantage of all the attractions that we have here, but also so they can be advocates. So when they go home, they say, hey, I learned about Hyannis and Barnstable, I did all these great things, and you ought to go and visit. We've been searching for a place to put the visitor center for some time now. And on Cape Cod, it's been a tradition that chambers of commerce provide information to tourists. And in our case, our office is on South Street. So we've struggled to find a spot that is centrally located. And we worked with the town of Barnstable, and they said, hey, how about on the town green? And we thought that was a perfect solution to the problem. So it was really a great partnership with the town of Barnstable to put it right here, front and center. So anybody walking by, visiting INO, can come in and get information. One thing that we're really excited about is we're pre-curating days in all the villages. So if someone comes in and says, hey, I've heard about Osterville, what can I do there? We can hand them a card that says, if you're going to Osterville, here are 6 things you can do to spend time in Osterville for a day. So they arrive in Osterville sort of knowing what it is they want to do. And we're creating one of those for each of the villages. We're also creating a rainy day activity guide for folks. We're coming by and saying, you know, it's raining, I can't go to the beach today, what can I do around town? And that would include all of our museums, all of our attractions, places to shop, places to eat, some place to grab a drink on a patio and just relax. So about anything. In addition to that, we have public transportation information, we have maps of the street that were created by High Arts in the bid, so a lot of different things are available to a visitor that stops by. We're going to operate 7 days a week between Memorial Day and Columbus Day, so we'll be open from 10 to 4 every day and on Sunday from 12 to 4.